Hey, happy Sunday. It's good to see you. I am headed to my friend's mom's house to drop off some really pretty flowers. Can't show them to you right now because I'm driving, but they're so pretty. It's a mixed bouquet. It has roses, and I don't know the names of these other flowers, but they're really pretty. And I didn't know, like, you know, for when you're doing like flowers for a bereavement or something, I tried to look it up online, and there didn't seem to be an answer. It's like whatever you feel is appropriate for the person. Do you want to get more subdued flowers? Do you want to avoid colorful flowers? I just think they're pretty flowers. There's purple in there, a little bit of yellow, and then there are 2 red roses in there that are pretty. They're really pretty. It's a beautiful little bouquet, and it even came in a vase. I had one ready to go. I was just going to get a bouquet and put it in my vase, but I didn't have to do that. So I keep several vases around. You know, I see them at thrift stores all the time, really cheap, just really pretty little vases, you know, and I keep them around just in case. So I didn't even have to use my vase. But anyway, I got this nice little bouquet in a vase, and it was only $20. It's so pretty. It is so pretty. Oh my gosh, but I can't show it to you. Just imagine a colorful little bouquet. It's small. It's not like really tall. Yeah, it's very pretty. So I'm taking this. One of my friends from high school, her dad died, and we have a card, and we put some money in it. There was a group of 4 of us that were friends all the way through high school. I was talking about it yesterday. And we all kind of pulled together to get her some flowers and a card with a little money in it. So I'm closest, so I'm taking it to her today, because out where she lives, the delivery options for flowers is severely limited and is actually more expensive than most of the bouquets. Like, yeah, the delivery more than doubles the price. Like, you know what? I can just take it. I will just take her something. That way we could put more money in the card for her mom. So I'm going to do that. So anyway, I'm doing that, and then hopefully on the way back I can stop and do some nail polish organization before I go home. That's what I'm going to try to do today. Yes. Woo. It's a good day. It is a good day. I don't know why my skin looks weird. I put on makeup this morning, and for some reason my face feels hot. I don't know why. I'm almost wondering, okay, so I was using Charlotte's Magic Cream, Charlotte Tilbury, as a primer, you know, before my makeup. I'm starting to wonder if I have a sensitivity to it, because I noticed as soon as I put it on, my face felt kind of like hot. And usually it fades, but it's not fading today. I don't know. Maybe it's just warm in here. It is a little warm in here. I have the heat cranked up a little bit. I have on this coat. It may not be that. I don't know what's going on with me right now. It's goofy. But well, it's cloudy too, so, and I have sunglasses on, and I'm just, for some reason, I'm looking at my face like, what is going on? I don't know. Well, if I go down there looking like I got a sunburn, I guess that's all right too. Not gonna stand out at all in February, is it? Anyway, I have a nice long drive ahead of me, and it made me think about a question that my older son and I were pondering the other night. We like to come up with philosophical type questions, where there's not really a right or wrong answer. It's just whatever you think, and then we talk about it. You know, we'll discuss, well, I feel this way because of this. A lot of times we agree, sometimes we don't, though, and it's interesting to hear, you know, why do you feel that way, you know, and, oh, you got some good points, I didn't think about that, you know. The question, I know I'm about to make kind of a long, not a super long drive, but a drive, and I remembered back, and this was, oh gosh, this was years ago. This was back in the early 2000s, like 2002, 2003, somewhere in there. And where I was parking for work, and I was having to make a long drive. I was driving 120 miles round trip 5 days a week to get to work. So yeah, 60 miles one way. Monday through Friday, and I did that for 6 years and 4 months, 50 weeks a year. That's a lot of damn miles. I didn't have one accident. I didn't have even a single accident. I did get one speeding ticket, and that was it. Anyway, that has nothing to do with anything. But during this time, my car was broken into in the parking deck, and there was a whole rash of break-ins over a period of several months. There were no security cameras in the parking deck, no nothing, and somebody was targeting older cars that I guess they assumed didn't have like alarm systems or anything. They would bust out this window right here, get in the car, and take your radio and anything else they could find. And that happened to me. I remember it was on Veterans Day, and I walked out to my car, and it was so weird because I was approaching my car from that way, and my dash, the console thing here, the center thing where the radio is, was pulled, like it was yanked out, and it was sticking out. And it was like one of those weird moments that was just kind of surreal. I'm walking up and I'm looking at it like, that's weird. How did that happen? How did that just fall like that? And then I walked around and I saw glass on the ground beside my car, and I thought, oh, I'm glad I didn't run over that when I pulled in. Like, my brain was not processing what I was seeing. And then I realized, I kind of snapped out of it and realized that my window had been busted out, and somebody had gotten in my car and taken my radio. I don't think I had anything else in the car really to take. I think it was just the radio. But that sucked. And I was, okay, like it was November. I remember it was November, it was Veterans Day. And I had to drive, and it was cold too, it was really cold. And I had to drive 60 miles home with no window. And I about froze to death driving home. And at the time, I was struggling financially. I was really struggling. My husband at the time had quit his job. My income was the only income we had. I was really stressed about money already, and like this was the last thing I needed. And I was thinking, I can't afford, what is this going to cost? I can't afford to get another window put in here. Oh my God. And I'm stressing and freezing to death all the way home. Fortunately, we were able to get another window at a junkyard place, you know, where you go get a part for your car. We were able to get a window, and we got it put in, and there was a little bit of damage to the door. We got that fixed. And I think it was only like $200, but that was $200 I did not have. I mean, I was already struggling just to, you know, pay the bills, and it was awful. He quit his job to avoid paying child support for his other children from another marriage. Yeah, he just came home one day and told me he had quit his job. Like, you're joking. Well, I had to, because otherwise we would lose money on child support. So I'm going to work for cash under the table. This was not up for discussion. He just did it. But that's the story for another day. Yeah. Fun times. You know, sweetie, there's a lane over there you can pass me in. You don't have to hug my asshole. You could just go around me. Come on, honey. If I just let off the gas, I bet you go around me. So anyway, this kind of reminded me of the question. There you go. Good girl. Got your big girl panties on. In your little Toyota Yaris. Red mud all over your tires. You been out four-wheeling. I wouldn't do that in that car. You're going to get hung up. Anyway. Lord, I start heading south. I start sounding like a pan of cornbread, don't I? Ha! Somebody commented on that the other day. Your accent's stronger if you talk to your... You know, your accent sounds different in this video, honey. I know. If I start heading back home and it just twangs right up. That's the way I used to talk all the time. I'm sorry if it bothers you. I can't exactly help it. Well, I could help it. I'm trying to help it. It's like a gravitational pull. You know, just... Woo! It'll sound like... What's his name? Ernest T. Bass by the time I get down there. Alright, sorry. So, the question... So again, like I was saying, my older son and I, and sometimes my younger son too, but not so much, one of us will bring up a philosophical question. And the one that came up the other day was, in your opinion, and there are no right or wrong answers, it's just what you think. And we're not talking about like the legality of it or anything. No, we're not talking about laws. We're talking about how do you feel. In your opinion, is it ever okay to steal? Just in your opinion. And I'm not here, I'm not trying to argue. I'm just curious. In your opinion, is it ever okay to steal? And to start with, I want to define the word steal. What do I mean when I say stealing? I mean when you knowingly take something that does not belong to you. You know it doesn't belong to you, and you take it anyway. You make the decision to acquire it, but not by, you know, paying for it or otherwise transacting. You know, there's no exchange here. You're just taking it, and you know it doesn't belong to you. Is it ever okay to do that? And do you think, if you have ever been through a theft yourself, if you have been stolen from, do you think it would change your opinion on that? Because I think for me it did. Now, I have had my house broken into twice. Not recently, thank God. I have had my car broken into 3 times in my life, and all 3 of those times were in Greensboro. I had a house broken into in Greensboro, and one where I used to live after I got out of college with my psychology degree. Okay, now when my car was broken into and they busted my window out, that right there caused me so many problems for so long. All to take a cheap little radio that had a cassette deck in it that didn't even work. So I just used it for the AM FM radio. I couldn't afford to replace it. It was the radio that came with the car. Well, the tape deck quit working a year or 2 before the thing was stolen. So I couldn't even play tapes in there. All I could do was listen to the radio, but it was better than nothing. You know, on the long drives back and forth to work, it gave me at least something to listen to. You know, before that, when the cassette deck still worked, I would get like books on tape, you know, get them on cassette tape, and I would listen to books that way. But after the cassette deck broke, I couldn't do that anymore, so all I could do was listen to the radio. So it was a huge burden. It was a huge problem to not have my radio anymore. And my console was all messed up. It looked like they took a crowbar to it and just pried it open, and they messed it up. It never went back right. It stayed messed up the whole time. I had that car for 17 years. I put over 320,000 miles on that car, and it just stayed messed up. I had tried so hard to take good care of that car. You know, I kept it clean. I washed it myself. You know, I would vacuum it out. I kept the car clean. You know, it wasn't much. It wasn't fancy, but I wanted to keep it nice. You know, I wanted it to look nice. You wouldn't know it now by looking at my car, because every time I go to my dad's, the inside of my car, I don't know what the hell happens to the inside of my car. There's just shit in here everywhere. It needs to be vacuumed. I don't know what it is about going up there. My car gets so nasty every time I go up there. I gotta vacuum it out again. I just did it not too long ago. Anyway, I'm getting myself off track. I'm sorry. So we define the word steal. You are knowingly taking something, whether it's money or an idea or a thing. You are knowingly taking something that does not belong to you, whether you're taking it from a person or a store, whatever. That's what I mean when I say stealing. It's important, I think, to define your terms before you start, so there's no confusion. All right. Now, when I was younger, I would have said, yes, it's absolutely okay to steal in multiple scenarios. I would have said that when I was younger. Not so much anymore. I would say, I don't know that I would say it's ever okay to steal. I think I would say, I would put it this way. It is understandable to steal, but with an asterisk. With an asterisk on that. A big one. I am not a religious person, but I have a very strong sense of I guess, morality or right or wrong or something. I have a very strong sense of, hey, that's wrong. You shouldn't do that. And it may be from growing up in a Christian home. Maybe if I had grown up some other way, I wouldn't have that. I don't know. But I was raised to, stealing is wrong. Stealing is always wrong. I'm thinking, well, I don't know that it's always wrong. I don't know that I would say it was right, but understandable. But I would put an asterisk on that now as I've gotten older. So let me tell you what I went through with my car. So I had to drive around for a month with no window in November/December because I didn't have the money or the means to put a window in my car because I was the sole breadwinner for the family and I was not making a lot of money at that time. And it took every penny I made for us to just survive. And he wasn't really bringing in much money, and what money he did bring in, he kept most of it. Like he didn't pay for anything. So I had a lot of stress on me. I had no radio. I had nothing to listen to. Do you have any idea how horrible it is to spend over 2 hours a day driving to work 5 days a week in silence by yourself, nothing to listen to? So finally, after a few months of that, I had a little, a small boom box, like you could put batteries in it. I finally just stuck that in the car just to, well, at least I can listen to the radio on this thing. It's better than nothing, Kind of sucks though, it's not the same, but it was better than nothing. So I had a lot of time to drive in silence and think about the situation, because I couldn't even afford to get another radio to put in my car. But that was funny part is I finally got a radio. I went somewhere and got just a cheap car radio. It's just a little AM/FM stereo. It was nothing special. It was cheap. But I don't know how to put a radio in my car. So my husband at the time said, oh, I'll put it in. I know how to do that. But this was one of those situations. Have you ever been in a relationship with somebody where everybody is a higher priority than you? Like whatever anybody else needs, they're going to do before they do anything for you. You're at the bottom of the list, basically. Yeah, that's the way it was. So he kept saying, well, I'll get it put in. I'll put in your radio. Oh, except this weekend so-and-so needs me to do something, or, I'm going to go here and do this. So I'll get to it next weekend. And then the next weekend comes. Oh, I can't though because I'm doing this other thing. I'm like, dude, you don't even have a job. What are you so busy doing? Well, can I help it if other people need my help? I can't help it. I mean, what do you want me to do? Tell them no? Like, well, you could tell them you'll do it next weekend and put my radio in. And then he would always fall back on the same thing. Oh, stop being a drama queen. You are such a drama queen. I'll get to it next weekend. Calm down. So this went on for 9 months. Long enough to conceive and bear a child if you wanted to. I didn't, but you could have. 9 months of this. So I had a lot of time to think about how this one act of theft had screwed shit up for 9 months for me. So finally, he never put it in. He never did. Finally, this was back when Circuit City was still in business. Finally, I just called Circuit City and I said, hey, do y'all put in car stereos? Yes, we do. All right. Can you do it this weekend? Yep, sure can. Bring it in Saturday morning. So I drove up there on Saturday morning. They charged me an exorbitant amount of money to put the radio in. It looked terrible the way they put it in. I don't know what the hell they did. It looked like shit, but it worked. It worked, and I had a functional radio again. And when my husband at the time found out I had done that, oh, he hit the roof. He was pissed. You paid them to do that? How much did you pay him? I don't remember. It was a lot. You paid them? Yeah, I sure did. Well, I told you I was going to get to it. Yeah, you've been saying that for 9 months. He was pissed. He was livid. I was at the point where I said, that's fine. You can be mad, but I have a radio now, so don't worry about it. We're good. took care of it. Yeah, he was pissed about that. So I had a lot of time to think about the whole thing. Like, you know, whoever took that radio, they probably didn't get $5 for it. All it had was a tape deck, and the tape deck didn't even work. Like, there is no demand for this stereo. I mean, maybe there might have been some parts in there you could do something with. I doubt it. I mean, it wasn't a nice radio or anything. So, all of that to make like $5 or $10. Well, I hope it was worth it. So I was angry, okay? I was angry. And I'm at the point where, like, I don't even care why you stole it. You are a shitbag for stealing my radio and causing me all these problems. Busted my window out. My center console will never look right again because you bent it up so bad. It won't ever go back right. You know, I've had to go through all this mess with the radio. I had to spend money to get it put in. I had to spend money to buy it. All so you could, you know, you just busted into my car and took my radio. I don't even care why you did it. I think you're a scumbag. So you could say, and again, this is all subjective. It's all subjective. I would say if you live in a first world country, whatever it is you need, there are ways to get it without stealing. There, for most things, if you seriously, and this is advice for you, if you're on a medication that is extremely expensive, talk to your doctor first. See if there's anything else you can take, because I've had to do that because I don't have any. Well, my prescription insurance is weird because I'm self-insured, and if you've ever had to be self-insured, you know what a nightmare that is. Talk to your doctor, see if there's anything else you can do. Talk to the drug manufacturer. Most of them do have a line that you can call if you need financial assistance. Sometimes they will give you special rates for their medications. If you call them and talk to them, they can help you. Especially the big companies, they will work with you to help pay for it. They absolutely will. You could try to get on Medicaid or any kind of, you know, government assistance to help pay for that. There are a lot of programs out there. There are nonprofits that will help you. What I'm saying is, you're talking about medication, hospital procedures. Talk to the hospital. Talk to the financial part of the hospital. They can work with you. They can help you. You know, plan ahead as much as possible. If you know there's something you have to have done, talk to your doctor. Talk to the hospital, the financial end of it, the accounting department. They can work with you, because I had to do that when I had my younger son. My portion of the bill was like $2,000. I didn't have $2,000, so I had to work out a payment plan, and he was 2 years old before I got that paid off because I had no money. I couldn't afford to pay much every month, but I paid what I could, and he was 2 before I paid that $2,000 off, but I got it paid off. So you can do it. And I understand, I'm not saying that it's all perfect and we live in a world of sunshine and lollipops. I know we don't. Trust me, I know that. I've been through rough times. I have had times where I would lay awake at night not knowing how I was going to pay for stuff. And it's scary. But there are ways you can do it. There are things that will help you. There are all different kinds of ways to pay for things. Food, if you need food, especially, again, if you're in a first world country, there are dozens and dozens of ways to get food without stealing. Okay, then, and this is, what was it? My son brought up a scenario. He said, okay, how about this then? What if, okay, now here's the situation where, do you think it will be okay to steal if, say, somebody kidnapped me, like somebody kidnapped one of your kids, and they call you up and say, I need $100,000 by midnight or I'm going to kill your kid. Is it okay to steal the money at that point? Your kid is going to die if you don't give them $100,000. Is it okay to steal? Well, first of all, you don't have a guarantee that you can steal that money and get away with it. Do you know how hard it would be to steal $100,000 and, like, succeed? You got till midnight to work that out. How am I going to successfully steal $100,000? And he said, well, okay, let's assume there's a way that you can. Let's assume that you can just walk into a bank and take the money and they let you have it and you just leave with it. Would it be okay to steal that money? I said, that's a good question. That's a good question. Because I'm stuck on the practicality of it. Like, how are you actually going to steal $100,000 successfully anywhere? How are you going to do that? What are you going to do? You going to steal a car? I mean, maybe, well, I mean, what kind of car are you going to steal knowing that if it's an expensive car, it's going to have all kinds of security shit on it? And it will be tracked and you won't be able to do anything with it. Maybe you could sell it for $100,000, but I'm stuck on the practicality of it. Okay, well, just assume there is some way to get the money, but you can just walk in and take it. Is it okay to steal the money? Okay, this is another situation where I would say, no, it is not okay, but if you did it, I would understand your reason for it. But here's the asterisk. Here's the asterisk. Like, say you needed the money for a life-saving operation, and you needed it, you don't have time to raise the money. You need it like today. Well, first of all, any hospital is going to work with you. They're not going to expect you to walk in with a wheelbarrow full of cash. Okay. The asterisk is, to me, this, again, it's just my opinion. There's no right or wrong. I would expect you to pay that back. Like, if I was starving to death, and I'm Aladdin and I'm starving, I'm Oliver Twist, and there's legitimately no food available, and I go to the bread market, the baker, and I steal a loaf of bread to eat it. I wouldn't steal it. You know what I would do? I would walk in and say, hey, is there any work I can do for a loaf of bread? I don't want to steal. See what I'm saying? I don't want to do that. My first thought is there really no other way to get a loaf of bread? I mean, if I'm going to go to all the trouble of stealing it, can't I go in there and see if there's any work I can do to earn a loaf of bread? Whatever I can do, I'll do it. You want me to clean up? You want me to scrub the floor? You want me to wash dishes? You want me to clean up out back? I mean, is there anything I can do to earn? I just want something to eat. You don't have to give me any money. Is there anything? That would be my first impulse, is I'm going to go talk to these people and see if I can do some work for that loaf of bread. Because I don't want to steal. Because I just don't think it's right. I don't feel like it's, when I was younger, I would have said, well, yeah, absolutely, it's okay to steal. Is it okay to steal if it's from a big company? Does that make it okay? Well, they got plenty of money. They're not going to miss it. And I will tell you something that I witnessed, and I'm not going to say, it was in a retail establishment, and this was probably about a month ago, and I overheard two employees talking, and they were putting out stock on the shelf. They were putting out like Valentine's Day stuff. And one of the employees said something about being hungry, and the other one said, yeah, me too. And he just said, well, F it, and he just grabbed like something. He opened something, and I heard him start eating something, and the lady that was working with him said, I cannot believe you just did that right now. And he said, well, maybe they should pay me better if they don't want me to do this. So he ate one of the, it was like I don't know what it was, a candy bar or something that they were putting out. And his justification for eating it was that they should pay him better. Do you think it's okay to, because he ate it, so he took something that he knew didn't belong to him, and his justification was because they don't pay him enough, or they should pay him more. Do you think it's okay to steal if you feel that way? I don't think that's okay. I don't think that makes it okay. I don't think the fact that it's a big store makes any difference. I don't think what you agreed to take that job for that pay. You knew what your pay was going to be when you took the job. that does not then give you the right to steal from the company. And again, that's just how I feel. I don't think that makes it all right. Who you steal from, in my opinion, makes no difference. Well, they're rich. They won't miss it. What if everybody felt that way? If you feel that way, then you can't have a problem with what if everybody walked into that store and stole something? One thing. What if every customer stole one thing? How long would it be before that store folded up and went away? Because we've seen that happen in different parts of the country. The theft is so bad, the store cannot operate and make a profit, so they close up and leave. You know, they are not a charity. They are in business to make money. That's how it works. I don't think, in my opinion, it should not matter who you're stealing from, whether it's a person or a store or any of that. I don't think it's okay to do that. You can't, in my opinion, you can't rationalize that. Because where does it stop? I mean, if it's okay for you, is it okay for people to steal from you if they have less than you? Like, say you make $12 an hour and somebody else comes along and they're making $8 an hour. Do they have the right to steal from you? Now granted, you're not their employee. Well, how about this then? How about you make $12 an hour and you pay somebody to come mow your yard? You're going to pay them $20 to mow your yard, which is a hell of a deal. If you can find somebody to do it for $20, let me know. So, I mow my own yard, by the way. Nobody mows my yard but me, because I like doing it. I enjoy it. If that person has less money than you, let's say, do they have the right to break into your car and take a candy bar while they're there? Do they have the right to go into your house and make a sandwich? Can you stop them from doing that? And I'm just throwing that out there. I'm just thinking out loud. At what point does that stop? How about a person with no job? If you're walking into a store and a person with no job asks you for $1 and you tell them no, can they take it from you? Because they have less than you. They might be legitimately, you know, starving and, you know, desperate. Can they take it from you? We talked about it for quite a while. We both brought up several different scenarios, but what about this? But what about this? For me, that asterisk is pretty much always there. Why? All right. Say a situation came up where you legitimately had no choice but to steal. I mean, I don't even know. You're Aladdin and you're starving. Don't you owe that baker or that individual, don't you owe them something now? Because I feel like you do. The asterisk is you should have to pay off what you took. You need to compensate them for their loss, because they took a loss from what you did. Even if you just took a loaf of bread, it was just a loaf of bread. Does that matter? Does the amount that you steal matter? Does that make it more or less okay in your opinion? I don't think it matters. I don't care whether you stole 1 loaf of bread or 100 loaves of bread. You owe them. You are now in debt to that person or that baker or that business or whatever. I don't think I could feel okay about it. I would feel that I owe them. Yes, I was starving. Well, first of all, I would go and say, I'm starving. Is there any work I can do for something to eat? I don't want to steal. Is there any work I can do to get something to eat? That would be my first response to, hey, I'm hungry. I need food. What do I do? Let's go see if somebody will give me some work so I can either get enough money to buy something to eat, or they will give me something to eat. Like, go to a restaurant and I'll wash dishes, I'll help clean up, you know, I'll go scrub your bathrooms up before I make them look really good. I did work as a janitor for a little bit of time in college. I would scrub your bathrooms, make them look really good. you know, whatever, and can I, you know, and can I have something to eat, please? You know, maybe we could make it a regular thing if you offer me a job, you know. Yeah, I don't look too great because, you know, like I need a shower, but I want to work, I want to do better. I don't want to take anything from you. I don't want to take anything from anybody. I guess for a lot of people it comes back to the way you were raised and what you were told, because it was just drilled into my head from the time I was small. You don't steal. Do not steal. You know, the 10 Commandments, like that, you know. The 10 Commandments, in my opinion, is a pretty good list of rules to live by, and I'm not a religious person, but if you read it, it's like, you know, that's not terrible advice. I mean, I would think if you follow that, I think you could have a pretty good life. I mean, honestly, you know, I haven't been a religious person in over 20 years, but, like, you know, there's some good advice there. Those are good rules to live by, I think. Yeah, sure. So, yeah, don't steal. Don't steal. It's never okay. That's what I was always taught. I think ultimately it may just come back to that. How were you, like, and that would be a good question for you. Like, how were you raised? What were you ever, did you ever hear any of this stuff growing up? I know a lot of people don't. Do you think it affected the way you feel now? Because I think it did for me. You know, growing up in a Christian home where we didn't go to church on a regular basis, but sometimes we would go when I was younger. But then we just kind of stopped going altogether. But yeah, do you think it would affect the way you feel now? I think it does. So that is my not really a philosophical question. Is that a philosophical question? I don't know. And again, I'm not asking it to ruffle feathers. It's not a political question. It's, you know, I'm not trying, don't start bringing politics and shit into it. I'm not talking about any of that crap. I'm talking about, is it okay to steal? And have you ever been stolen from? And if so, do you think it might have affected the way you feel about stealing? Because I think it did for me. I think it did. Yeah, I think it did. I think it hardened me up some, and it made me a little bit less understanding about it. Like, you know, this sucks. So, no, I'm not going around stealing, and I don't condone it. There are other ways to get what you need. You shouldn't immediately resort to stealing. There are other things that I think you should try first, just in my humble opinion. But I know everybody has a different opinion about it. I would be interested to hear yours. And I do apologize for not commenting much on the comments. I'm sorry. I try to read them, but sometimes I just don't have time to really comment, and I do apologize. It's hard having 2 channels and 2 kids and a whole other job and, you know, life, and, you know, and sometimes people are not super duper understanding about that. You know, but I try, but I do appreciate everything that you have to say. I just like little thought experiments and things like that, like the trolley problem, if you're familiar with that. That's a really interesting one that you can take and change around, and, you know, where if you should, The Good Place did a whole thing on it. The trolley problem, where you're on a runaway trolley and you can hit the switch and make it go off this way. If it keeps going straight, it's going to kill like 5 people. If you hit the switch and it goes this way, it only kills 1 person. You have to pick, what do you choose? And people would say, well, of course, I would just want to just kill the 1 person. What if that 1 person is like your mom or your dad or your best friend, and you don't know the people down there? Would you still do it? Or would you let it kill the 5 people you don't know? Or, you know, there are a lot of different scenarios that you can do. You know, like, which would you pick to do? You have to pick one. You cannot stop the trolley. Either you're going to kill the 1 or the 5. So what do you do? It's fascinating. I love stuff like that. I thought about getting into philosophy when I was in college, but I didn't really feel like, you know, like, what kind of a job are you going to get with that? Let's not. I thought about it, though. I loved my philosophy classes. I took a couple of them, and I loved them. Oh, I love thinking about stuff like that. It's so interesting. And to hear other people's opinions on it, it's just really neat. Like, it makes you think about things differently. Like, I never considered that. You have a good point. Huh. It's all about expanding your mind. And I don't know that there's much of that going on in college anymore from what I hear. But anytime you get a chance to listen to somebody with a different opinion from you, I implore you to take that chance. Just don't listen to respond. Don't listen so you can get them. I'm saying listen to them. Just stop talking and listen. And you might be surprised to go, you know, I never thought about it that way. You know, you do have a good point. You do. I see where you're coming from. That makes sense. It may not change your mind, but it may make you look at opposing views differently. Like, oh, they're all idiots. You know, well, are they? Have you ever really listened to their points? Have you ever listened to their opinions? You know, just anytime you get a chance to listen to somebody who may not agree with you, I would do it. I do. I try to do that. I want to hear you out. And I mean, actually listen. Don't just listen so you can, you know, snap back at them. Just listen. You don't have to respond right away. You can stop and consider what they're saying. You know, it's not always comfortable. It can be very uncomfortable to have to listen to somebody you don't agree with, but try it. Try it. We need to be a little uncomfortable every now and then. That's how you grow. That's how you change. You know, if you want to get in better shape, you're going to have to be physically uncomfortable. You know, it can be uncomfortable to get in better shape, but it's good for you. And it's the same with your mind. Your mind needs a workout every now and then too. You need to get a little uncomfortable. Trust me, it's good for you. If nothing else, maybe you can understand the opposing point of view a little bit better than you do now. You can get that out of it if nothing else. So anyway, that is my opinion on stealing. What if you live in an area where what if you live somewhere where it was legal to steal? Would it be okay to steal if it was legal by, you know, according to the law? Like if you lived in one of those areas where you can, it's not technically legal, but if you steal less than like $900 worth of shit every day, they're not going to do anything to you. So it's basically legal. No, it's not okay. No, I'm not worried about whatever the laws are, because the laws change all the time. They're written by people. People are, you know, not perfect. There are plenty of laws on the books that are ridiculous. So I don't really care if the law says it's okay. You know, I'm not okay with it. If it's not okay, it's not okay. I'm not worried about the law. I mean, I'm a law-abiding citizen, but that if they passed a law saying it's okay to steal whatever you want, I would still not do it, because to me it's just morally wrong. You don't do it. You just don't. I wouldn't want to live in that world either, because it would be absolute chaos. Anyway, that's my thought for the day. I would be curious to hear your thoughts on stealing, and if you have any opinions that you think were affected by your childhood or your experiences in life, that would be interesting to hear as well. But thank you so much for watching and for being here. I'm almost to where I gotta go. I hope your weekend has been great. Mine's been pretty good. And I'll see you again soon.